خليل الله وموسى كليم الله ثم عيسى روح الله محمد حبيب الله.
The Aqiqah, i.e. the replacer of the baby shower. Before we continue, are there any questions or something that needs clarity? And you guys can unmute if you do in the meantime. And put it in the chat. I'm going to mute it because I keep having this pop up come up. Put it in the chat if you have something to say, and then if you want to unmute, you can say that in the chat, and then I'll remove the muting aspect of my computer, inshallah. So this Aqiqah, why do I call it the replacer of the baby shower? We have so many beautiful Islamic holidays and customs and rituals, but they're completely thrown behind our back because we love the kuffar so much. We want to be just like them, as if we have no Islamic identity. It's a slap to the face. It's a slap to the face of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right. So we're going to talk about the Aqiqah. And when you look at it, some may say, what is the difference between this and a baby shower? Because there are spiritual aspects and components of the Aqiqah. Right? For example, the baby shower is before the baby's born. The Aqiqah is after it's born. The baby shower has stupid, silly games like putting pacifiers in your mouth, and I don't even know what else people do. Playing with toilet paper. And the Aqiqah, there's sunnahs being implemented. There's dua being made. There's Quran being recited. You can still get gifts, mashallah. People say, but I want things for the registry because I need to have all this stuff ready before the baby. Khalas, set the date for the Aqiqah, and then have the registry, and people will buy it before Aqiqah. Well, I don't want to do the Aqiqah because I'll be postpartum and I might be in pain. So you're the only generation of women who will be in pain. The past 1,400 years of women across the Muslim world, they did no baby shower, they did no Aqiqah, they got no gifts. What is this strange entitlement and baby behavior? We didn't say you have to dance, it's not time to boogie, right? You're postpartum, mashallah. May Allah cure you. But to say we don't want to do this sunnah because I might be in pain. There's no dancing, there's no hokey pokey. So don't disregard and kind of throw a sunnah behind you. And this is not to take away or to belittle the pain of women postpartum. That is not what we're saying. What we're saying is for you to undermine an honorable sunnah that actually in many ways you're doing sadaqah for your baby. Your baby is entering this world with good deeds on their scale, mashallah. But you're putting that aside, and in fact you're thanking Allah by committing a sin for this baby. And many women, mashallah, they don't get pregnant the first month or the second month or the first year, right? 30% of women suffer or struggle with getting pregnant immediately. So when you do get pregnant and you are able to keep the baby all the way to term and you deliver, it's such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. So to get dolled up a little bit, wear some nice clothes, and mashallah, fathers, spend some money, get some nice laham and rice and decor, make it easy for your wife. Celebrate her for giving you this gift. She destroyed her body for you. Maybe, and this is why we have to communicate, maybe the women do not want to have an Aqiqah as well, right? Because we don't know everyone's circumstance. Because they don't feel like they physically can do all the prep they would do for every other event they've ran in their life. Iftar, wedding prep, hosting lunches. So step up, ya ahbabina, step up and be a real man and celebrate your wife and celebrate your newborn child and thank Allah the right way, the manly way, the honorable way. I hope this is clear, inshallah. So if a man remarries a woman with children, is he not allowed to introduce her children as his children? Correct? That judgment I don't know. So I know what you're asking. That judgment I don't know. What I'm saying specifically is people will say this is my son, as if like they're all equal, and they'll even refer to this child with their own surname. So that's what I'm talking about. In regards to your case, that's slightly different. I'm gonna ask about that, inshallah. You can shoot me a message on WhatsApp so I don't forget. That's something I've been meaning to ask. Because I think what you're implying is you don't want to say, oh, these are my 2 children and that's my stepson, almost to alienate them. Right? I've heard some people ask that before. I don't know the answer. I'll look into that, inshallah, because I am curious as well. Is there a reasoning on why husbands are not obligated to provide medication for his children and wife? Jazakallahu khair. Reasoning, meaning what's the usul behind it, or what's the proof of it, where it's extracted from? I did not learn the proof or the explanation of that. I did not learn the explanation of that. And I don't know who a lot of you guys are, so please forgive me. If this is something that pertains to you and you're curious as a student of knowledge or as a wife, just remind me and I can get the proof, inshallah. I have to check other textbooks. Or I'd rather just ask my shaykh so I can get it from Photog, inshallah. But I'm curious for that as well. I'm just relaying it so we don't say, for example, our wife is unjust. I hope you guys understand. And Hadia, if you could verify for me, even if in the chat, I hope you guys understand it's not to encourage men, because a lot of men are considered by the definition of the religion very wealthy. It's not to encourage them not to provide medication. It's just so we don't cause fights for something that we don't have a right for. Likewise, we don't cause a fight thinking we have the right for our wife to cook and clean, etc., or to buy her own makeup and to buy her own lotions and smell goods when we're actually telling her we want you to get dressed up. We don't have the right for that. We want our wife to get dressed up with the makeup and the smell good lotions and her hair the certain way. We have to buy those products. So, because we don't want to do dhulm. God forbid we show up on Yawm al-Qiyamah thinking we were such a great husband or a great wife, and actually we were just wretched. May Allah protect us from that. Allahumma ameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ya Aziz ya Karim ya Allah. Thereafter, the Aqiqah with a ayn. Because sometimes I hear people say Aqidah when there's no ayn and it's not Aqidah, it's not the belief. Aqiqah, so there's 2 qafs with the hat at the end. Is an animal slaughtered by the father? We didn't say the mom. We didn't say slaughtered by the mom, and the decorations by the mom, and the caterings by the mom. So pay attention, ya ahbabina. And pay attention for the women who want to do it the halal way for once. That's to set that trend amongst their girlfriends. Okay? It is a slaughter done by the father for the newborn on the 7th day of life. So the time of the Aqiqah starts as soon as a child is delivered. So as soon as a child is delivered. If the father slaughters before that time, then religiously this would not be considered Aqiqah. He would not be fulfilling the sunnah, the highly emphasized and encouraged sunnah known as Aqiqah. The day of birth is counted among those 7 days. So for example, the child is born on Sunday. Then Sunday is counted as day 1. Then Saturday is the 7th day, because you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Saturday would be the 7th day. This is when it's sunnah for the Aqiqah to take place on this Saturday. So the child is born Sunday, this coming up Saturday. And 2 sheep, not goats. Alright, because people get mixed up, because in Ethiopia, for example, we eat a lot of goats. Or hanid, or hanith as you guys call it in different lands. 2 sheep are slaughtered for the baby boy, and 1 is slaughtered for the baby girl. It's an emphasized sunnah, right? And it's an emphasized haram for this baby shower. And for those who haven't learned about the judgments and the details in regards to the 3 prohibited groups that imitate the women, the major sinners, and the kuffar, and what is defined as a custom or a ritual of the non-Muslims or the women or the kuffar. When I say women, we mean the opposite gender. So men cannot imitate women, women cannot imitate men. What do these entail? What does it mean? If you haven't learned it and you have questions, you are more than welcome to message me and ask, inshallah ta'ala. We can even do a separate class on it, inshallah ta'ala. I'm not going to answer for smart people, smart aleck people. Because some people, they'll say, well then everything is haram. Light bulbs are haram, cars are haram, cell phones are haram. Because the kuffar made it, and they don't understand the judgment. That's not how you approach knowledge, with smart aleck remarks like that. You didn't learn it, so you don't make commentary like that, mashallah. Sometimes people are confused. Why is it haram to celebrate birthdays? Why is it haram to celebrate Thanksgiving? Why Why is it haram for women to wear, what do you call it? Lululemon, those tights, Lululemon tights? Why is it haram for them to wear in public? Right? Because they don't know these judgments. Or certain makeups, like, anyways, we'll go with that. I'm not trying to break women's heart today, inshallah. So several hadith were narrated. MashaAllah, give me 1 second. Several hadith were narrated from the Prophet ﷺ pertaining to this milestone. And among them is a hadith narrated by Tirmidhi, which means if the parent does not slaughter Aqiqah when their child is born for his birth, then on Judgment Day, this child would not intercede for his parents or her parents. Now, some scholars like Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal radiallahu anhu interpreted one of the hadith to mean if one didn't slaughter for his newborn, that the child would not intercede for the parents if it dies before puberty. So Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he interpreted the hadith. He's a mujtahid mutlaq. He's a master of linguistics. He said this is in relation to the prepubescent child who dies, like the 5-year-old son or daughter who dies. This is because it's known that children intercede for their parents if they die before puberty. So because religiously it is confirmed that children, generally speaking, intercede for their parents if they were to die before puberty. This is why he interpreted it like that. And some scholars said they can do Aqiqah for the child until puberty. And it is mentioned that the person can even do it himself. And a 6-year-old scholar said that if his case was that he didn't know whether or not his parents did Aqiqah for him, he would have done it right now. Meaning he knew his parents did Aqiqah for him. But he said if he didn't know, did my parents do it, did they not do it, let alone if he knew confirmedly they didn't do it, he said he would have done it right now. So for you men, if you don't know, or if you know for sure you never had Aqiqah done for you when you were born, then slaughter 2 sheep, and we're going to talk about the details with that. There's a lot of good barakah. And it is recommended to distribute the sheep as cooked. So it's not like the sheep of Eid al-Adha, where it is distributed raw, so you cook it. And it is also recommended to cook it with something sweet like raisins, and to invite poor people and others to eat from it. And it is mentioned, don't skip that sunnah, poor people, mashallah. And oftentimes they're very overlooked in our Muslim community. May Allah protect us from that. It's a very, very ugly habit a lot of us have, mashallah. If we don't know any, we should find some. They're there. And you don't say, hey, you're poor, you could come eat with me. No. Give them some dignity. Treat them like a friend. Make them a friend. Benefit from them. Learn humility from them. May Allah make us humble. It's mentioned to send the sheep thigh cooked to the midwife if it is feasible. So the midwife who helped deliver the baby, send her the thigh. That's my favorite part, mashallah. If it's possible. As per the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ sent the thigh of the sheep to the midwife. And also in this hadith, Al-Mustafa ﷺ directed that the slaughtering would take place on the 7th day of life, and to shave the head of the baby, and then also to name the baby. So on the 7th day we have the Aqiqah. On the 7th day we shave the head of the baby, and on the 7th day we name the baby. MashaAllah. And it is sunnah to give the child a name on the 7th day, as mentioned in the hadith. Does the father have to slaughter the sheep by his own hands, or can he pay someone to buy the sheep, cook it, and distribute it? Yes, it's not necessary that he does it all himself. If he hires a vendor to do that, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. There's nothing wrong with it. He doesn't have to slaughter it himself. He doesn't have to cook it himself. He doesn't have to distribute it himself, right? If he doesn't want to host a party, he wants to just give it out to the Muslims, that's fine. But again, to appease the heart of the wife, I don't even want to use the word appease as if like it's a bad thing. To reconcile the heart of the wife, because the wife who wants to do the halal right thing, can you imagine you tell her no birthday, no Valentine's Day, no Thanksgiving, no this, no that, and you don't replace these things with other fun events. we are not living in a time of scholarship and awliya and righteousness. Make it easy on your family, ya hababana. Because usually it's the husbands, when they want to be religious, they want to be God-fearing, and this is a very honorable trajectory. For those of you women who say, I don't want a man who's too religious, whatever that means, God help you. I can't make magic happen, but you call. So I don't know why women say that. I don't want a man who's too religious. Then they marry a man who's definitely not religious, and they have some crazy stories. MashaAllah. So ahbabina, even if you can distribute the meat as this brother had asked, try to host something. Try to make something fun for her. Yani, open the doors, make it easier for her to accept the halal and honorable sunnahs of the religion. Because I have some relatives, they complain, their husband said no birthdays, no this, no that. But guess what? When it comes to Mawlid, when it comes to Aqiqah, when it comes to Isra and Mi'raj, when it comes to Ramadan, when it comes to either the Eids, it just feels like a regular day. They might have a new set of clothes, but there's no celebration, there's no fun. They don't take PTO, there's no gifts, there's no nice restaurant. They're not traveling to other relatives like how the kuffar travel for Christmas and Thanksgiving. So, as a man, as a person of knowledge, whether it's a small amount or a large amount, it is your duty to remember that the people of ignorance or the people of sin, some of us are not ignorant, but we're sinful. May Allah protect us and guide us to repentance. We are all in emergency situations if we're in either of those circumstances. And when someone is in an emergency circumstance, our job is to get them to safety ASAP. The house is on fire, you don't just leave. Say, hey, I'm getting out of this fire. Your job is to make sure you guide everyone out of the fire. So use your mind. And ask questions. Usually it's the women, married and single, they're always asking the questions about the household. The men, their egos are too big nowadays, mashallah. It's a very, very interesting habit I've noticed over the past several years in the context of the fiqh of marriage, or the fiqh of family, so to speak. May Allah protect us. Is a daughter's head also shaved? I don't know, inshallah. I don't remember. Let me get back to you on that, inshallah. What if the midwife is not Muslim? Does she still get part of the Aqiqah? I don't know. Wait, so can a child, both man or woman, perform the Aqiqah if it was not done as a baby and they are pubescent? Yes, you can. So if a child knows that the parents never did it for them, then obviously you probably would put two and two together when you're an adult, pubescent. Then yes, you can do it for yourself in that case. And we're going to go over some more details of everything we discussed so far. So I don't remember about those two questions, the one that Hanan asked and the one that Esra Salahuddin asked. I'll try to get back to you guys, inshallah. If a sister invited you to their baby shower, would it be a sin upon you to go? How would you gently explain to her this topic of it being haram? It would be a sin for you to go. You're facilitating haram. You're enabling the haram. As far as being gentle, yes, I cannot stress enough. Be gentle, but be proud of your Islamic belief. Even if these people are Muslim, and usually they are Muslims, be proud of it. You should not feel shy or feel like you have to tiptoe about your belief. But because people treat a baby shower, because they're so far from tasawwuf, they're so far from breaking their nafs, saying no to the baby shower, and I've seen this for even learned women, it's like saying no to going to their wedding, or saying no to going to their nikah, or saying no to going to their graduation. They get very offended, mashallah. Your job is to say, I'm unable to make it. If it's someone very close to you, where they'd have the expectation of you, but I would take off for you, you wouldn't take off for me, like we're best friends, we were friends of 20 years. This can say, it's against my religious values. Because nowadays everyone wants to not offend anybody, right? You don't have to be aggressive, you don't have to be shadeed with it, right? Just say, it's against my religious values. And then you bid the good. You don't just forbid the evil, you bid the good with wisdom. If you were to have an Aqiqah, I think that would be beautiful. I would love to come to that. I'll even help you with the decorations. So you have to be smart with how you present it. And the Muslim is intelligent. sometimes you want to beat them to the punch. You know someone's 3 months pregnant, right? Usually people wait until close to the end of the middle to the beginning. Anyways, they wait till the 3rd trimester, usually from what I've seen, or maybe towards the end, the middle to the end of the 2nd trimester. But before any planning goes into place, you know, talk to your friends, normalize Islam. Don't be amongst the ghuraba who you could be sharing the religion to other Muslims and you don't. Because on Yawm al-Qiyamah, the one who will be prevented or slowed down from entering Jannah when they've been given the green light to enter Jannah is those who they had the knowledge, but their friends are holding onto their ankles. You had the knowledge and you didn't share it. You're going to Jannah while we're being punished. And so their delayment of entering Jannah is a form of their punishment, so to speak. So have confidence and remember, a person who loves you, they're not going to make you compromise your beliefs. Because wallahi, these same Muslims, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I forgot to bring the vegan meat or the vegan food or the vegetarian option or the pescatarian option out of respecting people's values. But then with the people who love them the most, they act like as if you stabbed them in the back. That's not a friend. That's not what family does. We don't make people feel uncomfortable for doing the right thing. If I invite someone to haram and they are trying to take my hand and walk me to paradise, I'm gonna get mad. There's an issue within myself. So be gentle, be sweet. I would even say try to be preventative about it, right? Be preventative about it. There are many, many beautiful alternatives, not just for baby showers, for other events. And we should ask about it, we should talk about these things so we can be proud of our Islamic heritage, inshallah. Just for clarification, what aspects of baby showers would be sinful? Is it the aspect of celebrating before the birth? Not that the aspect is that is before the birth, it's the fact that the custom in and of itself is a custom initiated by kuffar. And at the inception of this initiation, Muslims didn't practice it. Why am I mentioning the inception? Because of the kuffar or the major sinners or women started something, opposite gender started something. And at the inception, meaning around the time when it started, meaning not a lot of time has passed, then Muslims also partook in it. Then in this case, it would not be considered imitating because it hasn't grown to be a sign of theirs. For example, let's take tacos. When you think of tacos, what ethnic group do you think of? Spanish people. Why? Why don't you think of Ethiopians? I went to Desta the other week, they had kitfo tacos. Kitfo is like steak tartare, that's what we eat in Ethiopia. Because the Spanish people, whether those of España or Nicaragua, I don't know exactly where it was started, so please forgive me for my ignorance. The taco was made. I'm not saying it's haram to eat tacos, by the way. It's just to give you guys a closer understanding. The taco was made by some non-Muslims, Spaniards or what have you. And so much time went and went and went and went and went to where no one was really making tacos except these people, that it almost became like a logo for them. Or like menaish for those in the Levant, or injera for those in Habasha, right? Or spaghetti and meatballs, what do you think of Italians? Because so much time went where they were using it, even if everyone around the world started using it, instantaneously you associate this custom with the people who started at its inception. But let's say I make this new food tomorrow, this new dish, or this new custom, and everyone all over the world, because that's how it is with the advent of TikTok, they start following it. It wouldn't be seen as something Americans do, because I'm American, or Ethiopians do, because I'm Ethiopian, or Hararis do, because I'm from Harar. And so that's like how it is with the customs, the clothing, the rituals. So in regards to the baby shower, from my research, I recall it was established in the Victorian era. And from what I recall, well, there's nothing pagan about it, there's no religious aspect to it like Valentine's Day. However, by virtue of it being a logo of the non-Muslims, then when you follow it, when you partake in it, or like the wave that they do at sports events, sports arenas, right? And there's many, many customs like this. Or getting down on one knee, then you fall victim to the hadith of Al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam, where he said, there will come a time where you Muslims will follow a people cubit by cubit. So a cubit is a measurement, it's about 18 inches, a foot and a half. Cubit by cubit, handspan by handspan. To the extent where if they went into lizard holes, you would follow them. Ya Rasulullah, who are you referring to? The Muslim Christians and the Jews? Rasul al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam al-khairu khalqillah. He said, who else? Who else am I talking about? You would follow them to where if they went into the lizard hole, you would go to the lizard hole too. To draw a parallel to what our moms say, oh, if your friends jump off a bridge, are you going to jump off too? Meaning what? It's so foolish, but because your friends do it, you do it. And so guess what happens? Your Islamic identity becomes wiped out. To the extent where when someone follows the Islamic methodology, we're not talking about worships per se, we're talking about customs. What makes us Muslims, right? What makes us proud to be Muslims? Our identifying logos, right? Minarets on masajid. Women being modest, not going all out in these female madiha groups, and women being influencers online, and men showing off all their tight clothes, and these strange things that are not our way, that we don't have modesty, we don't have communal relations, we don't take care of the orphans, we don't stand up for what's right. If our friend does something wrong, we stay silent about it. This is a non-Muslim custom. These are non-Muslim behaviors. These are non-Muslim holidays. These are non-Muslim article of clothing. And so when you say, geez, what's wrong with my husband? He's not a God-fearing person. He doesn't fear Allah. He was not raised on the path of Allah. Because it became so strange that this Muslim identity almost became something to be ashamed of. I remember growing up, if you were praying salah, or if you didn't eat gelatin or you ate halal or whatever the parameters were back then, not only were you the religious guy or girl, it was almost something to be like ridiculed for. And now being God-fearing, posting selfies in Medina or in front of the Kaaba, or wearing abayas and taking these trips to all these, what's that, Sheikh Zayd Mosque, doing Islamic-oriented things now is the cool, hip thing. MashaAllah. This is our way. Our religion is beautiful. Our customs are beautiful. The Sunnah is beautiful. MashaAllah. I'll give you a simple example. In Harar, right? This particular act is not necessarily from the Hadith corpus, but the message that it entails is from the Hadith corpus. When you hear that someone in Harar is financially struggling, what do? You contact them. So we'd like to visit you. It's been a while. We call it ziyarah. Ziyarah is just visiting your fellow Muslim. And if, just like in other Muslim societies, we line the walls with pillows. And so when they're struggling, you just sit there we sit down on the floor, we're leaning against the pillows, we're talking, we're socializing. They might serve us tea. And when they go to grab us tea or what have you, we slide money under the pillow. The pillow's propped up against the wall. And then we leave after we socialize a little bit. And then when they're tidying up the pillows, fluffing the pillows, they see the money. They don't know which person sat where, right? Because all of it might be collected under one pillow, or it's distributed and they can't really recall who's sitting there. And so they are solvent for another few days, mashallah, till they get back on their feet out of the circumstance they're in. And what was done? You were sincere, because he doesn't know who did it, so there's no showing off. All of you guys did it, so now you can't even act like you're this righteous, high, tall person, because everyone was doing it. And you maintained their integrity. You didn't break their heart. This is from the Sunnah, mashallah. In Harar, I'm sorry, if you're Arab, you might want to plug your ears, you don't want to hear this. In Harar, whether you're from the upper class, the middle class, lower class, it is against the guidelines of the Ofocha, or this communal society, if you will, the governance of the social society, the social governance. Let's call it that, social governance. That's how you can translate Ofocha. No one pays mahr over $2,000. I say, that's the religious right. They said, you can do it, but you're banned from the city. And we're not going to marry your other daughters or your sons, because we want to facilitate marriage for everybody. So no one feels like they got to do what men are doing now. They got to save $100,000. In the meantime, they have OnlyFans accounts to hold them over so they can get married. And they're doing Hanafi contracts. Let's be real. We're going to call it ace and a spade a spade. And when this person gets married, everyone has the same style wedding. There's no such thing as competition. Everyone has the exact same kind of wedding. And divorce rates divorce rate was low, zina was low, sexual tension was low, corruption was low. We have a very beautiful tradition in Islam all over the world. And so we'll go over this in more detail, inshallah ta'ala. Aren't there also 4 containers, but they look like jabanas? In regards to what exactly? Jabanas, yeah, in regards to what exactly? How about gender reveal parties? So I researched gender reveal parties. The first gender reveal was either done in 2008 or 2010, I don't recall. So we apply the rule. If at its inception, Muslims partook in it, meaning not a long period of time passed, and then later on the Muslims partook in it, like Valentine's Day. I don't think any Muslim did Valentine's Day in the 1920s, right? Valentine's Day has been around for hundreds of years, so hundreds of years have passed. So in the gender reveal, you apply the rule. 2008 or 2010, I don't remember. If someone can verify for that for me, let me know, inshallah ta'ala. At its inception, Muslims did it. In this case, it would not be haram. It would not even be makruh. There's another rule. If it's not known, now the judgment's not known, meaning at its inception, did Muslims do it, Muslims not do it, then in this case, it would be makruh. What's haram is when it's confirmed to be a custom initiated by the non-Muslim, the major sinner, or the opposite gender. And later on, after many, many, many years, is when the Muslims started following it, meaning imitating them. Now it could be judged as imitating because this custom was associated with this group of people for so long. And so for my research of the gender reveal, that's how it is. We'll continue, inshallah. It's 1:06. Let me at least do 4 more minutes if that's okay. If you guys have to get going, no problem. Well, I'll do 4 more minutes until we get to an hour 10, inshallah ta'ala. And these are good questions, mashallah. It's sunnah to give the child a name on the 7th day, as mentioned in the hadith. However, if the child is given a name before that, there's no harm. It's not even considered makruh. Right, because from what I understand, you can't leave the hospital before you have the child's name, the father's name, etc. Documented. And actually in some hadith, it was mentioned to give a child a name the same day it is born. So some scholars deduce from those hadith that if the person doesn't want to slaughter Aqiqah for the birth of his child, then he names him the same day he's born. If one wants to slaughter for his child, then he names the child on the 7th day. But in conclusion, it's not makruh to even name your child the day it is born. And it's praiseworthy to choose a good name for the child, like to name him Abdullah, which is considered the best name, and Abdul Rahman, Abdul Rahman with a ayn, my apologies, which is considered the second best name, or Muhammad, Ibrahim, or Musa, or the like, and not to give the child an ugly name. And in regards to Abdullah and Abdul Rahman being the best names, this is narrated in a hadith as documented by Tirmidhi and others. And we said Abdul Rahman, not Rahman. Naming your child Rahman is haram, it's a major sin. So if you're going to advise someone who calls themselves Rahman, use wisdom when doing so, like many of those in the Indo-Pak subcontinent. There are certain names you cannot name your child, like Rahman, Dhul Jalali wal Ikram, Khaliq, Allah, Khallaq. Those are a few of the names that you cannot name your child. It's prohibited to do so. You can name your child Hakim or Abdul Hakim. You can name your child Malik or Abdul Malik. So not all these names are prohibited, meaning when you cut out the definitive article. So you can't name your child Ar-Rahman, you cannot name them Rahman. You can name your child Rahim though. You can name your child Rahim. And an ugly name, Dunya, I never understood why people name their child Dunya. The Prophet ﷺ said this world is damned and everything in it except for the scholar, the person of knowledge, and the good deeds. But one should not use an ugly name like Himar, which means donkey. Because in the past the Arabs used to give names like Kalb, which means dog, or Jahsh, which means tiny donkey. It's sunnah to avoid that and to give a child a good name. What's the goodness of the dunya? It beats me. That's something I don't understand. And I'll end with these next 2 points. So in regards to the story of Himar al-Jawf, so this guy, long story short, was a Muslim ruler. Then after 40 years, his children went hunting and were killed by lightning. So when this happened, he blasphemed and said, I will not worship Allah, he killed my children. So when people say we can't learn about kufr, we can't call anyone a kafir. You're going to marry your daughter to someone who says, I will not worship God, he killed my children. He apostated, he's an apostate. And to double down on his kufr, he murdered anyone who did not denounce Islam. But you're going to say we can't call a Muslim, mashallah. So later, a great fire burned the entire region. And up until today, this region is called Al-Jawf. So he is Himar Al-Jawf. This region today is called Al-Jawf because it never recovered after that. And if you visit there, you can observe and you can feel the barren state and the low vegetation of this region. So his name was Himar, and it's sunnah to avoid naming your child as such. And finally, people also wonder, can you name your child the name of angels? You can, like Malik, Jibril, Rifail, or Raphael if you want to, Anglo-Saxonize it for, government papers, so they're not discriminated against. Ridwan, these are all permissible because these are honorable creations, they're awliya. And Allah may benefit the people as a result of the barakah of these names. And Azra'il is permissible as well. Some people wonder, how about Azra'il? Can we use that name? So that is permissible as well. And it is good to give children names with good meanings, and if not done, then it is permissible to change one's name accordingly. Right? So if you were given a bad name, then you can change it. So even this happened at the time of the companions, radiallahu anhum. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked a woman her name, and she said Asiya. And so we won't go into it, but one of the names one of the meanings of Asiya is not a good meaning. So he told her, no, you are Jamila. Imagine being renamed after Al-Mustafa. Allah. Well, that would be beautiful. He called her Jamila, mashallah. And that is a beautiful name. That's one of the meanings of it, beautiful. And he did the same with another as well. So some may watch a movie or hear a name and they like the sound of it, but it turns out that it has a bad meaning, or simply just no beneficial meaning. It doesn't even really mean anything. So let it be known, all the names of the prophets are good names. One shouldn't dispraise their names. One shouldn't say it's outdated, right? Or that's an old timer's name. That's derogatory. These are prophets. Be firm on your aqidah. We don't dispraise and degrade their names. If a prophet chose a name for their children or others, they are good and they also should not be dispraised. So unsuitable, outdated, that's a grandma or grandpa name. We shouldn't say that, man. Have some akhlaq. Give qidra to the Rasuls, alayhimus salam, and Allah will give you qidra, inshallah ta'ala. In regards to remind me, I'm going to get back to the question about the shaving the head of the daughter. Does it apply to the daughter? That is. We'll end here. Let's do tahleel, salah ala nabi, and if there's any questions, you guys can unmute, inshallah, or I'll check the chat, inshallah. I didn't have a question in the chat, I missed. If you are a convert, if someone embraced Islam for the first time, we would call them a convert. A revert means to go back to a state you previously were on, and this term revert is commonly spread because the implication is that everyone was born Muslim, and that's not the case. But that's if you have more questions about that, you can ask later, inshallah. So if you are a convert and find that your name has a bad meaning or a bad root to it, it's obligatory to change the name. Bad meaning, when we say bad like is dispraise, like calling someone a donkey, or like himar or kalb, in regards to to what extent. If you want to ask that privately, you can. If you want to ask it here, you can. But to what extent is this name a bad name? If the non-Muslim parent dies, so the blasphemous parent dies, and the inheritor is Muslim, does the Muslim have to figure out how much is the right and give the rest to those who have the right over that money? So the Muslim does not inherit from the non-Muslim. It's not valid. It's not valid. does a Muslim have to figure out how much is his right? So he has no right, and give the rest to those who have the right over that money? Because presuming this person is a convert, so someone converted to Islam, and if it's a different case, let me know. This person converted to Islam, and so they have a Christian mother or father, and so the rest of the relatives are Christians as well. No, the inheritance is only between Muslim and Muslim. A non-Muslim is not inherited from, and a non-Muslim does not inherit. How do one translate al-Malik when referring to the name of Allah? Give me 1 second, I'll come back to that. In regards for the proposal, is it the whole concept of it, or getting down on one knee, part specific? Getting down on one knee. Proposing in and of itself is not what's prohibited. That's normal, that's confirming the religion. It's the getting down on one knee part that is prohibited. That is imitating the kuffar. Can you imagine a companion getting down on one knee? The ring that cost 2 months, 3 months salary. So notice this, getting down on one knee. How do one translate al-Malik when referring to the name of Allah? Like the king, the sovereign, like the I don't want to say sublime. The king is usually how it's translated. Malik is usually a king. Such as an ugly name or a name that could be attributed to Allah. Oh, if it's a name attributed to Allah, like let's say your name is Rahman, oh yes, you should change it, because haram to refer to yourself to that, and you'd have to bid the good and forbid the lawful if someone's always calling you Rahman, for example. Is there a common one other than that? Yeah, if it's something like that. And if it's a name that would lead to a sin, then no, we definitely change it, because a Muslim has honor. You cannot dishonor a Muslim. So if your name is donkey, himar, no one should be calling you himar, mashallah. Is the judgment the same, so back to the inheritance, for both the murtad and the original blasphemer? There are details in regards to the murtad. The original blasphemer is not inherited from. If one has an apostate parent, then the detail changes. MashaAllah. I won't mention that now. If someone has a specific case of that, then that's one thing. But if no one has a case in regards to murtad parents, I won't mention it. I want to know, so when people ask me what Abdul Malik means, I can explain properly. If you, let's say you introduce yourself as Malik, they say, what does Malik mean? Not Malik, right? Like how a lot of New Yorkers say, a lot of non-Muslims, they name their sons a Malik. You can say Malik means king. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. The owner of dominion. Dominion of itself implies ownership. I've always, that's not wrong, because the king has dominion. Allahu A'lam, if some people were not comfortable with the term king, so they translate it as owner of dominion. But the king, meaning the owner of dominion, that's more eloquent, but or it's more descriptive, so to speak. But I can look into it as well. But generally, Malik means the king. MashaAllah. Is there something else? If both my parents are deceased, and if one day I decide to get married, would I financially be responsible for my husband's parents? For the normal case, no abnormal one-off cases, sister, you are not obligated to take care of your husband's parents. That's his obligation. You're not obligated to take care of his parents, the children you deliver for him. You're not obligated to take care of him. When you sign on the dotted line, your job is to be taken care of and respect and nurture the leadership of your husband. You don't have to take care of anybody. You don't have to pay anybody else's bills. The only bill you have to pay is something that you want, that they're not obligated to pay for, like a cell phone bill. If you want to buy a car, you want to pay off your student loans, you have credit card debts from before, that's your responsibility. But taking care of his parents, no. May Allah protect our women from being forced by the husband to pay for things they don't have to pay for. Is there anything else, inshallah? And we're going to go more into the concessions or the nafaqah in the coming week, inshallah. Let's see how much we have left of the Aqiqah. The Aqiqah may take up a lot of time. Actually, wow, it's almost finished. Next week, we're going to jump into the rights of the wife.